Well, here we are again with what I suspect will be another high-quality tape, this time on banks and safety play. I'm at my friend Bill Ewing's house in Columbia, South Carolina, and with no further ado than that, why don't we get started? Any dissertation about banks should be preceded by an accurate system or systems for kicking. The first thing I'm going to phrase about kicking a ball with no English and medium speed is this: whatever angle the cue ball or an object ball goes into the rail, it will exit from a similar or commensurate angle. Thus, I wanted to kick the one ball in here. This angle in equals this angle out. Better, perhaps, is to think of it in terms of percentages. Let's call this 0%, 25%, 50%, 75%, and so on. And I'll show you why that's important in a moment. Wherever I would like the cue ball to end up at needs to be parallel with the cue ball to the rail, which in this case the one is, and I'll show you in a few moments how to make adjustments for that. All right, this is no English, a slow medium speed. If that spot were blocked, a lot of English, right-hand English in this case, through the first diamond, a fairly slow speed. Goes to the corner. If that were blocked, 1.5 diamonds down, or 37.5% of the distance, normal right-hand English. If that were blocked, 2.5 diamonds down, or 62.5% of the distance, center ball, left English, a little bit harder. If that were blocked, 3 diamonds down, or 75% of the distance, low left English. Goes right to the corner. If that were blocked, half a diamond down, just by digging down into the cue ball, right English, slow speed. If that were blocked, from the side pocket through the first diamond on the end rail, running right-hand English, goes right to the corner. Now let's talk about adjustments first for the two-rail system. I can come this way until I run out of end rail. My starting point is the side pocket through the first diamond. Now if I came this way, as if I were snookered in this instance and behind the 10 ball and I wanted to make the one, I've got an extra distance of about 7 inches. I just come over with a parallel line and I hit right on the end rail in that spot with running right-hand English, and it should take me right to the corner. Anything that's between here and about where the 10 ball is, you just use a parallel line. So if I wanted to make the one ball here, I would come over right here with right-hand English. Anything that's beyond the second set of diamonds, the extra distance is in halves. Here's my closest 2 diamonds. I have an extra distance of about 4 inches. I come half that distance, not the whole distance, to the left of the diamond, right-hand English, and it should go right to the corner. Now adjustments with no English going one rail are always made in halves, and we talked about the fact that you need to have a place that's parallel to the cue ball with the rail. Now in this instance, what I would like to do is kick and make this 1-9 combination, but the one ball is not parallel with the cue ball to the rail, so I'm going to put a piece of chalk on the table, which they won't let you do in a match, but you won't have to after a while anyway, and I've mismeasured this on purpose. Halfway between the cue ball and the chalk on the rail, if I continue the line, it takes me through the chalk. Now the extra distance you measure from here, right across from where you'd want to hit, again parallel to the rail, and I have an extra distance of about 9 inches. So I'm not coming 9 inches because adjustments are in halves. I'm going to come down about 4.5 inches, and I'm going to mark it on purpose. Now this is no English, a medium speed, and it has to go right square into the face of that one ball. Now the reason the percentages are important, we talked about a few moments ago, If this is straight ahead or 0% and this is 50%, here's 25%. Here's where I would hit with a lot of English. And you'll notice I am hitting the one square in the face. Very accurate, this type of kicking systems. If this is 0, 25, 50, here's 75, as unlikely as that might appear. This is low left English. So that's how adjustments are made for one rail kicking shots. The diagonal diamonds correspond very nicely. This is a one rail running English system. Now, right between the diamonds, that's on the diamonds. This is not on the diamonds. With two exceptions, they correspond nicely. If I'm on the first two diamonds or towards the corner from them, on most pool tables, the cue ball will come a little bit short. So I normally allow about an inch. Instead of going right through the diamonds, which I happen to be lying on, I'm going to come up about 1 inch, and I'm going to hit it at a fairly slow speed, left-hand English, and it should take me right to the corner. Anything that's between this set of diamonds and this set of diamonds is right on the money. You need only draw a parallel line. Here's my closest two diamonds. Here's my parallel line. Left-hand English, a fairly slow speed, and it should go right to the corner. Anything that's outside the third set of diamonds, the extra distance is in halves. So if I were in a position like this, here's my closest two diamonds. I have an extra distance here, I don't know if you can see it, of about 11 inches. I'm only going to come half that distance up the rail, about 5.5 inches. Fairly slow speed again, left English. And again, it should take me right to the corner. This is a one-pocket two-rail system, which 9-ball players have trouble with because it requires 0 English on the cue ball. The starting point on a great pool table like this one is 4 inches to the left of the spot as I shoot this way. And what I need to do is hit as close to the corner pocket as I can with no English without risking hitting the far point, and it should take me straight to this pocket. Adjustments for that are made with a parallel line, but if you get a little too close to this rail, there's an adjustment you need to make. Here's my starting point. I come over here with a parallel line, and I'm looking at this. But when the cue ball hits this rail, it's going to put a little left English on it. That causes the cue ball to go shorter than I want, so I'm going to make a slight adjustment for that, and I'm going to hit this with no English. Anyway, I think you can see that's a very useful system. Now for side pocket kicks, 3 reasonable ways. Anywhere on a line straight up and down the middle of the table. If I hit, in this case, right English just above center, and I hit the middle of the end rail, it takes me straight to the side. The second way, from the spot. Now adjustments for that last system are made in halves, and let's show an example how you might use that in a game. If I were over here like this and I wanted to kick to 5 in the side pocket, my starting point straight up and down the middle of the table, I have an extra distance of about 18 inches. So I'm going to come half that distance to my left of the starting point, 9 inches to the left of the middle of the end rail with right English. Should give me an excellent chance to make the 5 in the side. The second method is from the spot, and adjustments for this only from the spot, not on a line anywhere straight up and down the middle of the table. Extreme English, right English, through the first diamond on the side rail, takes me to the side pocket. And thirdly, this diamond, and again, this is not on the diamond, it's here because I'm going to go through the first diamond on the side rail. Right-hand English, medium speed, takes me to the side pocket. Adjustments for that are made with a parallel line. Everything that I did from the side pocket to the corner works from the corner to the side. In ways it changes slightly, but it's pretty much the same. 3 cushions. You need to have a starting point, and a billiard player would like to have the starting point be this corner pocket, and he or she would figure where they wanted to hit on the 3rd rail, and they'd subtract it from the starting point. You don't need to know all of that, and I'll show you why. All I need to know is where to hit on the 1st rail. In this case, 2 1/4 on the 1st rail. 1, 2 1/4. Running left-hand English, medium speed, should take me right to the corner pocket and the 5 ball. Now adjustments are made like this. Anything, now my starting point is a corner pocket through 2 1/4, 1, 2 1/4. Anything that's this way, the extra distance is in half. So I've got an extra distance here of about 6 inches. I don't come 6 inches down the rail, I come 3. So I'm going to hit right below 2 with running left English, and I'd be highly surprised if it didn't take me to the corner. Anything that's this way of the starting point, the extra distance is in full length. So all I have to do is draw a parallel line. I've got a little problem here, though, because where I would like to hit is right here, the point of the side. So I've got 2 or 3 different things I could do. I could shorten this up by hitting it a little bit harder. I could shorten it up with a little draw. Or better, perhaps, is to hit just before the side and dig down into the cue ball with extreme English and try to lengthen it out. All right, if I wanted to kick in a combination such as this one, and I'll do this off the starting point in the interest of time. If 2 1/4 on the 1st rail takes me to the corner and I want to go a diamond longer, 1 1/4 on the 1st rail, again with running left-hand English and medium speed, should take me straight to the 1 ball. I hit the 1 full in the face. I forgot to make a little adjustment to come out and hit on the edge of the 1. Well, that's good. It shows how accurate the system really is. I played to hit it full in the face, and that's what I did. Okay, if 2 1/4 takes me to the corner from this corner pocket starting position, 3 1/4, 1, 2, 3 1/4 should take me a diamond shorter. So anyway, it's well worth learning 3 cushion system. It'll help you all your pool games. 3 reasons why you'd want to put English on an object ball. 1, to help it go in the pocket. If I put extreme left English like I did on that 5 ball, that's going to help it go into the pocket. I can't get that much English on the ball by cutting it. But anytime an object ball is cut, English goes onto it. In this instance, I'm going to cut the 6 to my right. The cue ball drives through the left-hand side of the 6 and puts left English on it. See how naturally that went in the pocket? We've got, and that's where the center ball hits. You would not want to use unnatural reverse inside English. We've got one instructor or teacher or columnist that claims that it does no good to put English on an object ball. And I'm going to prove that wrong right here. If I wanted to make this 1 ball, it looks like I don't have any reasonable cut or bank at it. But if I can get left English on it, I should be able to bank it back here. And it is, in fact, about an 80% make on most good pool tables. This requires a center ball hit. And I'm going to transfer as much English to the 1 as I can by cutting it to my right, even though I'm not cutting it much to my right. The most English is transferred to an object ball anyway with about a 2/3 of a ball thick or 3/4 of a ball thick hit. So what I'm going to do is put just a little bit of right English on the cue ball. Whatever you put on the cue ball puts the opposite on the object ball. So I'm going to get left English on the 1 by cutting it to my right. I'm going to get more left English on it by putting right English on the cue ball. So I'm going to use a center ball hit, just a touch of right English. I love the look on 9-ball players' faces when you do that to them, I got to admit it. Get in the habit of thinking same angle in, same angle out, like we talked about in the kicking section of this tape. This angle in equals this angle out. But there's 3 things you need to know. When I cut a ball, a bank, it puts English on it. We just discovered that. So if I cut the 9 to my right, I'm going to put left English on the 9 ball. I don't want that left English on the 9. I would like to have no English on the 9. That would seem to me to be the most natural way to make a bank. Now, if I have to put left English on the 9 by virtue of cutting it to my right, if I want that left English off the 9, I got to put right English on the 9. To do that requires left English on the cue ball. Now, remember that a centerish ball hit applies or transfers the most English. I would want to do the same thing we just talked about, this angle in, but I'm going to hit this just below center with a little left English. I think of that sometimes as turning a ball into the pocket. Let's see what happens if I hit the same type of shot with no English at all. It has to come here, and you can actually see the reverse left English on the 9. I'm going to hit the 9 in the same place. I was fortunate enough to make it 2 rails. That won't usually happen in a match. All right, let's take across the side the same type of example. I'm cutting it to my left. I want right English, and I want to be somewhere around the center of the ball. Last time I used just below center for the cross corner bank. This shot, in the opinion of a lot of leading bank pool players, is especially conducive to making with just above center right English. Sometimes you can use, in addition to the same angle in, same angle out theory, a parallel table system. Now, we don't have one here, but if we did, I could aim at the corner pocket on the parallel table to give me an exact place to aim for a bank such as this. But these are pretty simple after a while. This angle in equals this angle out, and we're going to get into shortening them up a little bit by shooting harder in a moment, and also by lengthening a bank out by shooting it easy. Anyway, if you're pretty much straight on a bank, the most natural way to make it is with a little bit of draw. Nothing fancy here. This is straight on. I don't even need any English, just a hair of draw. And I think you'll notice that my object ball has no English on it. Okay, now, shots that on the surface appear to be pretty easy banks. This is pretty straightforward. In this angle equals out that angle, but a professional wouldn't play this ball like that. It's a little bit unnatural. If he or she just wanted to pocket the ball, they'd come up about 1 inch. And I play 2 inches if it's a lengthways bank and I want to hit it with a little power. And a nice flat hit. No more natural way to make banks than that. Let's shoot 2 or 3 shots where it pays to go through the object ball. And that merely means that the cue ball is going to pass through part of the area occupied by the object ball. In this instance, whatever game I happen to be playing, I want to make the 7 and go down the table and get position for the 12 ball, and I have no pocket in the side. Now, I could play the 7-4 combination maybe if I were playing 9 ball or something. But if I wanted to get on the 12, the right way to do it is to go through the 7. Now, what I'm going to do is shoot this hard, and the 7 will already have passed towards the side pocket before the cue ball gets to here, although the cue ball is going to be going this direction. All I need is a just above center hit and a little bit of right English. That would be the way to play position on that shot. Here's a shot that I never see a 9-ball player play correctly. If I wanted to make the 7 on a bank shot, I could draw it, or I could try to cross the bank, meaning the cue ball got out of the way before the 7 started off towards the side. Neither would be correct. The proper way to make this shot is to drive through the 7 ball with a nice high ball and just a touch of right English. Now, this on the surface looks like an obvious kiss, but it's not. With a little practice, this shot can be made from all sorts of angles, and it's quite natural, as you'll see in just a moment. Here's another example of going through a ball. If I wanted to play a safety, playing 9-ball or 1 pocket or whatever, and I wanted to go behind the 12, I could do it 2 ways by going through the 4. I could do it with a high ball. Let's say I was playing in the game of 1 pocket, and I wanted to make sure that my opponent had no shot. Now the way I would do this, straight ahead makes the 4 ball and the cue ball. In this, of course, if I went straight ahead to 4, it'd hit the 12, but it would be in this angle, out this angle, which is unacceptable. So if I don't want the 4 to hit the 12, the only way I can miss it is to go around it to the left. That's no good. That'd make my cue ball come this way. If I cut the 4 to my right, however, that's going to make the 4 come out above the 12 and right over by my pocket. Plus, I should be able to make the cue ball, instead of taking this angle in, go right back here. This is a pretty easy shot. That would be the right way to play it, playing one pocket. If I were playing in the game of one pocket, and this were my pocket, and I wanted to bank this into these balls and break them up and leave the cue ball behind the 12, now I'd like a little more power on the 4, so I'm going to make the cue ball go behind the 12 with a just above center hit, just a hair harder. And if you look at that, that wins games. Now finally, let's take bank pool. I'm playing a guy that's a real good bank pool player, and this comes up, and I don't want to leave him a shot if I miss. I didn't leave him a hole out there. I should make that bank. I get asked about frozen ball banks all the time, and it's important to learn what is a stiff and what is not. A stiff, in the terminology of a professional, is a bank that won't go. However, the rail does give. An object ball or the cue ball will go into the rail before coming off. It actually bends or mashes the rail, and the pocket facings are hard. So if I had a bank like this, which is a frozen ball bank, I can beat the kiss by shooting it a little harder and having the cue ball double out of the pocket. You scratch 4 in the corner there, you're a little bit unlucky. Anyway, that shot's the same lengthways. The only difference is that it requires a little outside English. That's close enough. You get the idea of that. Now, I don't know any clear-cut rule to tell you exactly when a frozen ball bank is a stiff. There's some different factors enter into it. How old the cloth is, what kind of stroke you have, how hard the rails are. In general, for an example, take a shot like this. Even using, and I use it sometimes even with balls close to the rail or frozen, this angle in equals about this angle out. Now, for me to get the 5 coming towards the pocket like this, I can't do that without the cue ball being right in here, and obviously the 5 is going to come straight off the rail because I have to hit it pretty thickly, and I would have to be playing the best pool of my life on an old cloth table to be able to make this cross side. And as I come this way, now it really gets impossible. And you want to do common sense, intelligent things anyway. Now here, it's starting to get a little more reasonable. Now one of the misconceptions, I'd like to shoot this a couple of ways, that people have is that they have to shoot this real hard. You don't have to shoot it hard. Let's begin with the easy version. That was high left-hand English, and you'll notice it kind of shortened up very nicely. Now, if I did want to shoot it hard, I don't like drawing this. I like almost a center ball hit with right English. The draw seems to make the aiming real difficult. Anyway, I don't know what to say about shots like that except that you want everything to be high percentage. Cross corner, now the bank I shot a few moments ago across the corner is the same bank from all sorts of angles. Here would be the same bank I shot with the frozen ball here. I'm not going to scratch. Takes a fairly thin hit. across the short corner. Sometimes you can shorten it up pretty well. This is a pretty recognized one-pocket shot. Now I can make this with high left English or center left English. Of the two, I kind of prefer the high. That's also a shot where you could play position, play in banks or one pocket. Now finally, in relation to frozen ball banks, everything I just did across the corner works across the side. The only problem is that from an angle like this, for an example, I can't really hit this with a nice flat ball because I go straight in the corner. So here I have to draw this ball, and I like using right English too. I would hit this with low right English. Anyway, that can be made from different places along the rail. Sometimes a bank is makeable just by virtue of the thinness of the hit. Let's take a couple of examples of that. If I were in a position like this, now all one-pocket players know that this is makeable across the corner, hitting it with low right-hand English, and according to what kind of table and what kind of cloth it is and everything, what kind of rails, you can play a safety without risking scratching two in the corner. But it's also possible to hit this and make it across the corner just with a thin hit. Same thing with across the side. Let's take an example like this, and you get these sometimes. If I didn't want to risk scratching, I might shoot this with just a nice flat, no English hit, almost like the cross corner one I just shot, but this one's somewhat easier. Anyway, those are good aggressive shots playing almost anything. Hey, let's talk about when there's a kiss on crossing banks. Crossing banks are ones where the cue ball passes underneath the object ball. Like if I were to bank this across the corner, I would want the cue ball to go around this way with left-hand English. If I can shoot the cue ball past the object ball into the pocket, there is no kiss. Now here I cannot shoot the cue ball past the three ball into the pocket, so there's a kiss if I use inside English. That's not to say that you might not be able to make this bank. I don't believe you can quite make this, but if I wanted to try to beat this kiss, I wouldn't use inside. I'd use right English and come down to this rail and out a little bit, and I think there's still a kiss. Here I can shoot the cue ball past the object ball into the corner, so there's no kiss. All right, let's look at a couple of more examples of that. I see 9-ball players a lot of times, they'll have a shot like this, and they'll want to play a safety on this ball by knocking it 1, 2, and down on the end rail, or they may decide to play for the bank. The same rule applies lengthways if I use inside English. If I use left English, because I cannot shoot the cue ball past the three ball into the pocket, there is a kiss. And that'll work forever. Let's take a lengthways shot, same kind of thing. Maybe I got left here, and that's the 8 and the 9 balls down here, or I'm playing bank pool, and I would like to make this up in the corner, right here. Because I cannot shoot the cue ball into the pocket, there is a kiss. That'll help your bank pool and your safety game just to be cognizant of that particular rule. I wanted to shoot the same shot with the low outside English just to illustrate the value of this shot. Let's talk about 2 and 3 rail banks. In general, unless you play an awful lot of bank pool, they're too low a percentage to try to make on a regular basis unless they're free. Let's begin with this three-railer for the corner here, where I'm exactly on the starting point for the three-rail kicking system. Now the difference is that I can't get the normal amount of running English on a three-ball. Every table reacts a little differently too, especially on this kind of shot. Let's see what happens if I hit it with no English to 2 1/4 on the first rail. Now this table here, obviously it is lengthening out nicely. Some tables it won't do that. Some tables it'll come a little shorter, some tables it'll come a little longer. If I were going to play bank pool quite a bit on this table, I would have that knowledge at my disposal and be able to use it. Now two rails, let's check that out. Remember, our starting point is this diamond through the first diamond on the side rail. Now if I hit this with no English, well, I didn't hit it. I hit the second diamond. You see I'm still coming quite a bit longer. So really, a two-railer, if I had to shoot this, I'm going to need to go a little higher on the rail. Plus, I'm going to use right English on the cue ball, which will put a little left English on the cue ball. Let's see what happens if I hit about 2. Right there, I hit exactly through 2. And that's right on the money. In general, you'll want to shoot 2 and 3 railers when they are free. 4-rail banks, and this is the most common angle for one pocket and bank pool, are pretty good shots because I can get the cue ball safe here. If this were the last ball on the table, for an example, which is where you would normally shoot this, or maybe there's 2 or 3 balls, I'd play the cue ball 1, 2, 3, and in here. Now I don't have to do much with this shot. I would expect to hit it right through about 3 here on the first rail. And I'm going to use low left English on the cue ball. All right, I hit past 3 and it came long. Now I happen to make the bank, but you see my cue ball is down at this end of the table. Let's talk a minute about the diagonal one-rail English kicking system. Now here, if I were using the English system, I would hit right where my stick is pointed through the rail. Let's see what happens with no English at all. It comes a little short, which is exactly what's normal and correct. So I need to do a couple of things. Let's put this back. And here's my closest 2 diamonds. Here's where I want to hit. I'm going to come about 1 inch longer, plus I'm going to hit left English on the cue ball, which puts a little right English on the 5. Now that'll come very close almost every time I hit it with no English. However, we can get back kind of the basics, you might say. A bank pool player, a lot of times, will, some of the best in the world, Eddie Taylor and Bugs, they don't bother with systems for this kind of thing. They shorten it up with a nice firm hit, and you can really kind of use same angle in, same angle out. This angle in is about right, but I'm going to come up here because I want to shoot this firmly. And that's the way a lot of bank pool players play that shot. Let's talk about two-railers for a moment. Plastic balls and Simonis cloth, very difficult to judge two-railers. The old mud balls, a two-rail bank cross-side, cross the corner, short or long, such as this one I'm going to start with, you could hit right to about the first diamond. That was right on the money. You wouldn't miss that 1/4 inch, the two-railer. The plastic balls, however, I've got to get all the way over about in here to be able to make this ball. And that's with no English at all on the cue ball, just straight draw. See, I hit that right on the first diamond. You see how much I came short. Okay, I hit right in here, and that's awfully close to where to hit to make that. Across the side, again, the plastic balls make this type of shot very difficult. If I had to two-rail this, I'm going to have to shoot this easily. And I'm not going to use any English on the ball. See how that came a little bit short? I might need to shoot it a little easier yet. That's to get the natural reaction on it. Cross corner, short. According to how hard I shoot, that's going to make a big difference. If I wanted to shoot this with authority, I need to get down here, a couple inches below this first diamond. Very difficult shot to judge. You want to avoid shooting those if you can. Here's another version of the English bank. This time I'm cutting the one ball the wrong way to get right English on it. So if I have any chance to bank it back here, I'm going to need to get as much right English transferred to the one ball just by using a lot of left English on the cue ball. This is a center ball hit, extreme left English. Okay, cross the short corner. Now, this is the same as the lengthways English bank I shot at first. Now I am cutting the one ball the proper way to get left English on it. But it's more difficult to cross the short rail, especially tables that have facings in them, that makes these points hard to deal with. Now here, because I have less distance to get the English to take and everything, takes a better hit. I've got to hit all the way up here, and this angle in equals this angle out. So I need to get quite a bit of left English on this. So I'm going to use center ball, and here I'm going to use quite a bit of right English as opposed to the first bank where I just used a little bit. And center ball, of course. Okay, I cannot cut it the right way. So I need extreme right English, center ball hit, in order to transfer the most left English to the one ball I can. Okay, those shots should be about even money on a real good pool table. Another variation of the English bank. Here I'd like to bank the one cross side and the five ball is smacking my way. The only way I can, and I don't have room to go around this side of the five, the only way I can make this bank is to get right English on the one. I'm not going to be cutting the one hardly at all, so that's not going to put English on it. I need extreme left English on the cue ball, center ball hit, and obviously I've got to cut the one into here and let the right English take to be able to make the bank. Cross corner, same thing. I can't really make the one. This angle in equals this angle out. So I'm going to put a lot of right English, center ball hit. The opposite effect of that is a reverse English bank. Now here, the best I could do if I just missed the five is this angle in, this angle out. So here I need right English on the one. I'm cutting it to my left. That's going to put some right English on the one. I'm going to use center ball, left English. That puts more right English on the one, and I should be able to make this bank. All right, here is probably the most famous version, at least in my estimation, of the reverse English bank. What I'm going to try to do is bank the one inside the five ball straight back. And if you look at that, that just can't be possible. I need left English on the one. I'm cutting the one the proper way to my right to get left English on the one. And again, center ball, right English on the cue ball. Let's talk about safety. Here's a safety 9-ball players for some reason never see. A 9-ball player, to be honest with you, would probably two-rail the 8. 1, 2, maybe the middle of the end rail, put the cue ball back here, or try to thin it some kind of way, or maybe even shoot at it. But this is 100% safety with an easy way to measure it. I'll show you a couple of variations of it, excuse me, which can be done with the 8-ball frozen or not frozen. This is measured from the other side of the object ball. If I go straight ahead with the 8, and the cue ball will take the same path, in this angle, out this angle. I don't want that. I'd like to have the cue ball behind the 9. Anyway, you measure it from here, right on the other side of the object ball. Instead of here, I want the cue ball to go there. That's a distance of about 1 inch. So I'm going to cut the 8 to my left about 1 inch, right in here with high left English. And it's a very easy shot to lay the cue ball behind the 9. Now let's put it back and make it seemingly a little more difficult. We'll put the 9 farther up the rail, and let's freeze this ball from a different angle. Here's the same kind of thing. As it works out, this kind of shot is, this particular angle is always about 1 inch. I'm going to aim the 8 for right here with high left English. And that's a lot better shot than any safety I see in most 9-ball matches. Let's talk about the umbrella shot as a safety. If I wanted to play safe here, if I could hit 2 rails, then the 8, then back to the rail, I should have an easy shot to put the cue ball behind the 9. Okay, I didn't quite get it behind the 9, but I left it real tough. Those kind of shots come up all the time. Occasionally, a shot will come up that is a ticky shot that you can play a nice safety on. Well, this would be another umbrella here. I need to hit 2 rails underneath the 5 and go behind the 8, 9. Very easy shot, comes up all the time. If I were down here like this, now the hard part about this shot is how easily it needs to be struck. What I'd like to do here is hit behind the 5 and have the cue ball end up behind the 8. This takes a nice, easy hit, almost to speed as if I were going to lag the cue ball for that pocket. Nice and easy. And that's a dynamite safety in anybody's book. All right, let's talk about the mirror system, not only for pocketing balls, but for playing safe. If I had a ball like this 5-ball, and I wanted to kick it in the pocket, the way I would figure that, and I'm only going to use a chalk because we're doing a tape here. They won't let you do this in a match. Same distance ball to the rail, put the chalk there. My entire cue ball needs to be to this side of my point, and I can hit this with no English. I should come very close to making that 5-ball. That's about as badly as I'll ever miss one of those. Now let's see how we could use that for a safety. If I had a shot like this, and I don't have room to shoot the 7 in the pocket, I could try to masse it, but that's real hard to judge. Plus, there's no way to get down the table. No way to get in there rail first and get it down the table. My correct shot would be to use the mirror system, first calculating where I would hit to make the ball. And I know automatically from years of playing one pocket, I need to hit right up by the 7, which I can't do because the 9's in the way. The way I would play this shot is to go rail first, the 7. Cue ball continues on to the 2nd rail, the 3rd rail, the 4th rail, and down here, the thinness of the hit on the 7 is going to knock it to the side rail and over to the end rail. And I'm going to do it with the mirror system, which is very accurate. And that's a nice safety. All right, the situation here, I'm playing 9-ball, and it's all percentages to me. How my family eats depends in large part on how I perform. If I were to bank this 7 across the corner on a table I liked a lot, which I do this one, I'd probably get out 70-75% of the time. But I could play safe and do it 100% of the time, put the guy behind the 9. Now that's a nice shot, right? I think that's a terrible shot. Good players are going to hit this 99% of the time. And let's examine the evidence. If my opponent kicks at this ball and hits the bottom side of the 8 goes this way, the cue ball this way, leaves me distance. Plus he might kick it in, cross the side, or cut it in. Howard Vickery, who's a great kicker, banked one cross corner on me once and beat me a match with that shot. If he hits the high side of the ball, the 8 could go over here and here, the cue ball all the way down the table. I think that's a horrible shot. Let's see what the correct way to play this type of shot is. Now he's got to make a trick shot to win. That's a much better safety. If you don't have any kind of reasonable kick to make the ball or play a good common sense high percentage safety, at least try to get distance between the balls. Shoot the balls at such a speed that you at least get distance between them. Best 9-ball players in the world hit 95% of their kicks. They are about a 50% winner against the best 9-ball players in the world from a snooker position. First, you need to learn how to hit kicks. Then you need to learn which kick to select, and then finally, and probably most importantly, what speed to hit it. So you need to work on all those things to be a good safety and defensive player. It's rumored that the Mexican players in Tijuana have a school which teaches the Mexican young players how to luck balls in. Now, unless you've been to that school, I would highly recommend that you never try to luck one in. Always play to do something exact. You won't win many games trying to rat one in from a snooker position. So try to do something that's high percentage and common sense. I do a lot of exhibitions, and one thing I get asked about constantly is what's the rule on push shots? To begin with, if you're going to gamble, find out how your opponent feels about it and make it the same for both of you. If you're going to play in a tournament, you have to know what the tournament director's feelings are. And if he doesn't make it crystal clear, show him a couple shots during the the players meeting and find out what's legal and what isn't. Now, if you're allowed to shoot through the ball, here's a system which works great for billiards, safeties, position. If I wanted to make the 9 here, if I go through the 8-ball, straight ahead to the rail, then towards the 9-ball, halfway is where I would aim if the cue ball were frozen to the 8. So I need to aim right here and just shoot through this ball, and I'll make that a big percentage of the time. If they're not frozen, the rule is 25%. Here's straight ahead, there's towards the 9, 50%, 25%. If you're close to the ball with an awkward angle, the way to measure this is halfway. Well, actually it's not halfway. What I do with this, and it's going to sound strange, I go straight ahead through it, I take the same angle this way, and halfway is where I would aim, but I'm going to elevate with high left English. So that's a good way to measure those. Let's take a 9-ball shot. 9-ball situation where my opponent has gotten a little lucky and left me where I can't make the 7. I can't get the cue ball behind the 8 here, but what I could do is use the same thing we talked about earlier. This angle in equals this angle out. Now I don't want the cue ball to go there. I'd like to have the cue ball end up behind the 9. So if instead of here, straight ahead, I want it to go like this to the rail and over behind the 9, I've got about an inch again. Not here, but here's where I would aim the 7. Now I don't want the cue ball to lengthen out or speed up, so I'm going to use a little left English and a high ball. Anyway, that's a real good system for measuring that kind of thing. It comes up a lot of ways playing pool. A shot I never see young players shoot often enough, especially on tough equipment, is from a situation like this. This is a beautiful 4-rail snooker safety. 1, 2, 3, 4, right down to the end rail. And according to the angle you have, sometimes you can even hit this with a high ball. Here I would prefer to hit it with kind of a center ball. And a center ball is to keep it from scratching. Anyway, that safety comes up from all over the table. Every once in a while you leave the 9 dead. This is a tough shot. Okay, this is a nice double kiss safety. If I'm going to shoot a hard shot playing any pool game, I'd like to say to myself I can win if I make it. Now, cutting at this ball is suicidal. I'm going to miss the ball sometimes. I give him ball in hand. I'm going to scratch once in a while when I cut it in, if I decide to cut it in. And the percentage works out to, if I'm playing great pool, maybe 25%. That's unacceptable. This is a nice double kiss safety right back to this rail with draw. You can shoot that from other vantage points too. It doesn't have to be right smack in the middle of the rail. If the 9 ball were over here like this, now I would use a little left English, still a nice thick hit with draw. Well, sometimes you'll hit the point. I should have had it to the end rail. Anyway, you can see the value of that. Every great once in a while, it'll come up across the short rail. Here I have no bank. Now on a good fast table, it would be real hard to judge to get the 9 ball down to the end rail. So what I'm going to do is just double kiss it over here with a little draw and easy. Now you'll notice the best my opponent has is an off-angle bank, so that's a good shot too. Here's a shot I don't believe I've ever seen a 9 ball player shoot in my professional career. To get the 8 in the pocket and get back down the table is virtually impossible. Cross corner bank is no good. Nice easy shots. You have to be careful you don't scratch across the corner. I want to go into the rail here, and I'm going to have a high ball, and it's going to spin down a little bit. I'd like to play the cue ball here and about in here and down on the end rail, but all I have to do is just bank the 8 right back up the middle of the table. I don't need any English at all. Now, even if he should try to cut that in, it's very difficult for him to get on the 9 ball. Every exhibition I do, or clinic, somebody will always ask me, they say, what would you do with this shot? Let's talk about percentages. If I'm playing the best pool of my life, I'd be lucky to get down there 30% of the time. Some of that time I'm going to scratch. Proper shot is to thin the 8 here. And if you look at this end result, I'd love to play anybody in the world, and they have to start with this. So that'd be the right way to play it. Let's look at the lengthways shot. All right, here is the same thing. Real tough to draw this back. I wouldn't try to roll it in and take a hard shot on the 9. I'd never, unless I'm absolutely forced to, take one hard shot to get another hard shot. Right shot, play to bank the 8, and if I miss it on the high side of the pocket where the 8 comes back to here. The cue ball, 1, 2, 3, down here. I'll have position if I make the bank, safe if I miss. Low, left English. Absolutely proper way to play it. You can overdo jump shots. Some of you young players who might be watching this tape, you might be great jump shot perpetrators. You can overdo that. To be honest with you, and I wouldn't admit this if I weren't having such a good time with my life and this wonderful sport. Jump shot players that I've played against, I think, have made as many bad shots as they have good ones. I don't think I'm at any disadvantage playing a guy that can really jump balls well. So anyway, be selective in your shot selection when to jump the balls. If you have a better kick, take it. Okay, it's been a pleasure to be with you once again on this bank and safety tape. I hope that some of the stuff that we discussed will help you to start thinking correctly. Banks and safety obviously are an integral part of every single pool game. If you can bank well, it's possible to win matches from almost any position. A good safety player, defensive player, can win a match against anybody in the world. I didn't have enough time to go over everything I would like to have. I think we covered enough basic material, though, where anybody who's interested in learning the proper way to bank and play safe will have a real decent beginning. And once again, I thank you for being with us. If you want to order one of these tapes, just order them through Carolina Vision, and we'll have ads in all the major publications. Thanks again.